Hello, welcome to another CPaaS Talk. And this time I'm sitting here with David Vigar of GMS and Suresh Patel of Shabodi. And we're going to talk about the announcement they made a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago almost, at the Mobile World Conference Barcelona about their partnership. So welcome on board, Suresh and David. And yeah, let's dive right in. What's this partnership that you announced? What's it about?
Well, yeah, thank you. Good to be here, and we're very, very excited about this partnership. One of the big trends we've seen in the industry is a demand from enterprise customers to get more data to help either solve fraud, detect fraud, or just improve the user journey, and that really is a differentiator for them. So this is a direction that we've decided to take. For mobile operators, of course, and we work with many mobile operators all across the world, it's a great opportunity to find new revenue streams from exposing and then monetizing that data in a secure, compliant way. And for us, as well as the relationships we have with the operators, with enterprise customers, what we also need is the ability to help mobile operators bring those data points to life through APIs, and that's where Shabodi comes in. And we're very excited to work with them because they bring many years of expertise. They have the platform that is proven, it's deployed, and it's very flexible and really helps us execute on what we want to do very quickly and at scale. Particularly excited to work again with Suresh, and I've worked together in this space in the past, so that's also a nice piece of the equation. Suresh, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, no, fantastic, David. Thank you. Great to be here as well. So thank you, Rob. Yeah, really excited about the partnership with GMS that we announced at Mobile World Congress. From our perspective, to be able to work with a quality organisation like GMS, who've got a solid industry reputation in this value chain, working both with operators on one side and then with enterprises on the other, that's a real comfort to us. And from our perspective, we have the technology that will enable these APIs, as David said, from operators who might not be quite 5G ready yet. But also, being able to piggyback onto the hundreds of operator relationships that GMS has means that the go-to-market for Shabodi is massively simplified. So from that perspective, working with a partner that's able to bring not only the operators, but also on the demand side, because there's no point having APIs if no one's actually buying them. And so an organization that can bring that revenue as well is terrific from our perspective. It solves a lot of issues.
Yeah, I like how you mentioned the outcomes, right? And because at Capasa we lean into that side of the story as much as we can, because as important as it is to have API standardization and all sorts of tech platform coordination, end of the day, and I think really we're in that phase with network APIs now, we need to show collectively, the industry, the ecosystem, all of us want to see the real results. Where's the money being made? Can we increase top line revenues for operators? What do we need in terms of aggregation, players, etc.? So that ecosystem needs to be unpacked a little bit more, and I think we need to really drive for those outcomes. So looking at your partnership, why did you choose each other? I mean, why didn't you go for one of the other aggregators, for example, David? Or how do you look at that?
Yeah, we obviously had a choice of whether we did everything ourselves and then obviously very quickly into the partnership model. What we particularly like about Shabodi is that they're thinking bigger than everyone else we've seen. So with the technology they've built flexibility from day one. They're not just about enabling Kamara standard APIs or the eight or so that are certified. They're thinking about how can we take any data point in any format from a mobile operator and turn that into some kind of standard. They're also thinking on the other end, how does the enterprise want to consume these data points? Not just here's a bunch of APIs and take your pick and integrate them into whatever you have, but how can we take those APIs and build a solution around it that makes it more digestible for an enterprise or one of their existing service providers that we can integrate that with. So that really was what really excited us about their platform in particular.
And from our perspective, I think, as we mentioned before, Dave and I have been in the industry for a number of years, and we know what it's like to sell to enterprise, and it's difficult. And in this instance, there's a number of established use cases in financial services, let's say, who've been using these kinds of APIs for a while. And I think in the first instance, we're going to see the market, have greater breadth in terms of more operators will enable the same APIs that we've seen in mature markets, and that might be the first step to revenue. But importantly, as David mentioned, there is finding a partner who has that longer term vision, because as the market starts to become easier to deploy from an enterprise perspective, because all this supply is going to be available and it's going to be ubiquitous globally, then organizations have to quickly think, how am I going to differentiate myself? And the way you differentiate yourself is by understanding your enterprise customer better. What is the use case that you're solving for? And again, as David said, there may well be elements of information that the operators have that could have an amazing amount of value to that enterprise, and we just haven't discovered it yet. The same thing happened recently with an API called Scam Signals, where there's authorized payment push. Financial services were suffering heavily from this kind of fraud. The banks got together with the operators and they figured out what APIs, what information would be useful at what stage to identify that it's authorized payment push. The same thing could happen on the enterprise side when it comes to enabling the right customer experience. Maybe it's going to be, if I have a customer service call that's going particularly badly and I can't see the customer, then set up a quality of service call, enable high bandwidth, high quality conversation between the consumer and the brand. Those are the kind of use cases that we're expecting to see in the future, but we all know that it's going to start with network API. But with that one eye on the future and a partner like GMS is forward thinking, that's what should make this a very successful partnership.
Okay, I like it. I like what your examples, and when you look at network APIs, I mean, from a bit of a distance, it seems that the first wave, first horizon is that sort of identity, fraud removal, API stuff, right? The know your customer bits and pieces, which fintech is adopting and some of the large platforms are adopting. That seems to be getting traction, and everybody's now waiting for every operator in the whole world to also support that, which comes with its own challenges. So when I first met Shabodi a couple of years ago, you guys were really into quality on demand sort of use cases at that time, which I really liked, because you had some really interesting, let's say, vertical solutions in manufacturing, and I heard some really good use cases where it made perfect sense to have network APIs, or to use some of the network intelligence or signals or APIs, and you could do that at a much smaller scale. You don't need, if you want to optimize one, I don't know, factory or plant or port or whatever, you don't need global coverage across the whole world. You just need coverage really good at that particular place. So can you elaborate a little bit on the strategy that you have there?
Yeah, so you're right. Shabodi started off doing a lot of private 4G, 5G deployments in that industry 4.0 space, enabling anything from robots to temperature sensors, and being able to identify where the issue was, and then provide the bandwidth in a way, on a dynamic basis, in a way that the actual application didn't need to understand networks at all. Really simplifying that whole thing. And I think what we're seeing is that Industry 4.0 use cases, they've been a little slow to start, because as we go to those kinds of organizations, they're massive investments that they have in plant and machinery, really huge, and airports with cameras, huge investment. So when it comes to making some of the changes that we're talking about, it just takes a longer time to make those changes. I think the use cases will be there. We're starting to see autonomous vehicles in ports and things like that. So those use cases are there. They're still running in parallel. But I think what you're finding even in those use cases, if I take an example of a sports stadium or something, they might have a private network of their own. They obviously have a public network too. And what the platform enables is, if an application wants to do something, it will say, I need this kind of bandwidth, this kind of latency. What's available? And from that perspective, the Shabodi platform, we have to work out, is it public, is it private, is it satellite? What's going to give me that consistent latency that I'm looking for and the bandwidth that I'm looking for in this moment? So, we do see this as a blend of our offerings. But as we all just said, I think the initial route to monetization is going to through these digital identity APIs, because that's what the market knows already, and that's where there's mature use cases.
Right. David, GMS, I've known GMS for a while as a let's say, one of the bigger messaging oriented CPaaS players. This move into network APIs is quite a step, I think, right? It's not a step that you guys take lightly.
No, but I think it's a very natural next step for us. If you look at where we have particular strengths, it's our relationship with mobile operators through the provision of SMS monetization services. All we're doing here is simply monetizing the operator's network into these new data sources and exposing those. So, from a strategic DNA point of view, that's what we're very used to is working with operators and helping them expose and monetize and those services out to enterprise customers. And on the flip side, we do have relationships with a significant number of enterprise customers ourselves. They are asking for more solutions, more data points that help improve the user journeys that we already play in. SMS OTP helps with user onboarding, with things like account recovery at the point of a transaction. Many of the network APIs are layering additional data points that help secure or create that make those interactions more secure. Help identify, is this the right person that I want to be interacting with? They're very complementary to what we already provide to enterprise customers. So for me, it's a very natural next step for us. And I think, it's not I think, we know this because our customers are asking us. We have a large number of our existing mobile operator partners asking us. We're hearing about this. We've been following Network API. We believe in the opportunity. Help us get there. And enterprise customers too, they're hearing about this. They want to know more. They want to understand what they can get out of it, how this can help solve the key challenges that they're facing today. So for me, it's a very natural step for us.
Cool. And I hear you say that your customers and your partners are asking for this. You have the right platform that you found in Shabodi. So what does success look like? It's now Q2. It's been a couple of months since you announced the partnership. Looking ahead, the rest of this year, where do you expect to see the first real results or big deployments or customer wins? How does that going to look like this year?
Yeah, so this year is really setting the foundations for us to start scaling beyond. I certainly expect that we'll have our first live deployments later this year, both on the operator side and on the demand side, and getting those first use cases and first bits of traffic flowing so that we can really start to show those results. And for me, the success we need to start scaling is showing those proof points that show we've delivered some value to enterprise customers. We've shown that we can deliver value in terms of revenue to mobile operators. Starting to explore more of those use cases, finding more of those success stories, and then growing from there to more of our partners, and with the partners we start with this year, expanding that to more use cases, more verticals, and then what comes beyond.
Right. Suresh, what does success look like for you this year?
Yeah, no, I for the partnership, I agree with David. We need to build the machine. So building the platform, having the operators, enabling the operators in some instances with the right APIs, being able to make sure that we cover any issues around latency, cover any issues around security. I mean, there's so many steps to successfully deploying the platform before you've even got the customer in mind and you start connecting the customer. So there's a lot of internal work to do, but as David says, want to get all that stuff done quickly and then get very quickly. And we're having these conversations already, talking to the market, talking about what use cases are going to be important, how do these use cases bring value, Having these conversations in parallel with our build is what's going on right now. And yes, we do hope to see early revenue this year.
And Suresh makes an important point there. We have customers pushing us to move forward. One of the things that really attracted me to coming on board with GMS when I came on board was that I feel the energy and the drive to move quickly. It's a company that can make decisions quickly, move forward and execute quickly. And I feel that across the DNA of the company. I feel that with Shabodi, that when we sign a deal, I know that these guys are going to be with us at the pace that we need to deploy quickly and with their full support. So that really gives me great confidence that this is exactly the right partner for us.
Excellent. Well, that's great to hear. It's really good to have a chat with you guys. I look forward to seeing the real results over the next couple of months. We'll check in again later this year. And I wish you best of luck.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob. Cheers.